Guys, welcome back to another edition of That Fuzzing Rock Show interviews. We got a great one for you today. Let's welcome to the show from Jacket Thief, Mr. Scott Reeder. How are you, sir?
Good morning.
Good to see you, man. How's things out in SoCal today?
Pretty awesome. Palm trees and sunshine.
I'm jealous, bro. I'm really, really jealous.
Haven't had a lot of that this year, so we're taking it when we can get it. You know.
Hey, take it when you can get it. Exactly. So, listen. First, I want to thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us. I definitely appreciate your time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And we won't waste any time. We'll get right into it. So, we're here to talk about the newest release of Jacket Thief. It's called Lights Out on the Shore. That's out via Tripkey Records. We'll talk about all that in just a few minutes. Let's start off talking about the band real quick. When did you guys first get together and how did that come about?
As far as Jacket Thief or something else?
Jacket Thief.
Jacket Thief is actually just me. So it's not really a band. It's pretty much, I played everything on the album. So I played drums and rhythm guitars and bass and keyboards and organ and percussion and sang everything. I had help from my friend Bob Balch that's in Fu Manchu. He did the majority of the lead work on the record and guitar harmonies and things like that. A good friend of mine named Mitchell Townsend played on a couple of tracks, Everything But Right and As She Drifts. And I did a couple of minor lead things. I think one on Daylight Apparitions is like there's two leads. One's me and then one is Bob, and then a thing as well, just kind of like a repeating guitar pattern that was sort of a lead in the middle of the bridge of A Wind Gone By. So the project is really just me, and it came together, at least I started working on it at the beginning of 2021, and I had some ideas and songs that have been drifting around in various forms, and some unfinished stuff that was kind of kicking me in the butt to finish it. So I went in the studio with a good friend of mine, Ryan Mall, who's a producer engineer who did it with me, in his studio, which is here in Costa Mesa, in his backyard, actually, in his garage. So one-room studio, doing drums off the floor, and then just basically just chipped away at a song a day, how we could, so that way we do drums, lay the rhythm guitars, do bass, because that would probably take the longest because I don't really play bass.
Right.
I joked with Ryan, I swore that he had someone come in and replace my bass tracks because there's stuff on there I do not remember playing. And then if we had some time left, we'd do vocals at the end of the day. So that's kind of how it worked. And if we would have done it in a straight shot, we probably would have done, it was 14 sessions, I think, so like 2 weeks. But it stretched out over a year and a half. So it just took me a while. Whenever I could get in there, I'd get in. So.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the video. If you guys like what you see, do me a favor, right down here, click that subscribe button, give the video a like, and ring that little notification bell. That way you guys know when we post new stuff and when we go live on the air. Do me a huge favor. Tell a friend or two. Now, let's get right back to the action. So that was kind of born out of the close to the tail end of the pandemic then, or?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
What pandemic? Yeah, right.
It was let's say it was in 2021. That's when it started. Yeah. So it started then, and I finished it up. Pretty much the recording was done, I believe, the end of last year, but then mixing took a while. We did some overdubs, and then just getting it all set up to go, really.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question that artists hate and fans love. I don't know why, but how would you best describe the band's sound?
I'd say it's me. It's the sound of me.
And it's all you. That's the best part about it.
I mean, the voice that you hear is me. So that is the sound. It's the sound of what's in my head, basically.
Well, they're gonna have to pick it up to figure it out. So let's put it that way. So
yeah, I mean, just not to make it easy, but the influences are all over the place. So I love everything from the Circle Jerks to Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. So
gotcha. Okay. All right.
Now there's no jazz on the record, so I should preface that or postface that, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, there's acoustic stuff, there's heavier things. There's a lot of layered harmonies. It's pretty dense, I would say. And I spent some time trying not to make it a one-man orchestra, but the main idea was to have songs and have songs that I could sit in a room with you. And if there were two guys sitting there going, hey, what you got? Oh, I got this song. Okay, that's a song. What do you got? I got this. Oh, this is a song. Okay. And so each song is a fully fledged song, and it can be played on one instrument, and then everything else that goes around it is just icing on the cake. So the songs had to be, I thought, fairly strong to stand on their own. That way,
Yeah, sure.
I had to imagine that if someone liked them, that they could actually cover them and know that
That's actually an interesting way. That's an interesting way to go about it. That's pretty cool, actually.
Well,
So,
I mean, I think it really is the litmus test as for something like this, which is, you know, based in a lot of melody. There's a lot of harmony, which is just me.
right.
So, and that's also Ryan Mall saying, "Hey, that sounds cool with two parts. What about a third? Try a third harmony." And him trying to make it really easy, especially with vocals, that was a tough one because I've never sang lead on anything. And I just tried to stay within my range and then also reach a little bit. So if I was to play this stuff live, I got to find two singers. So that's going to be a little bit of a tough one, you know. And you got to pay them. What the hell?
Yeah, well, that's the hard part right there. Actually,
that's
no, the hard part's, I mean, finding one singer is tough. Finding two, that's gonna be a bitch. That'll be tough for you.
And a blend of voices. But I would like to get some more material together before trying to play any of this stuff live. Might do a one-off here and there. But yeah, that's the sound though. The sound is song based. Fu Manchu is very much based in the riff, and that's the hook of most of our songs. We don't do big choruses and things like that. So
Right.
that is what drives it. So I wanted to obviously in the songs that are heavier guitars, those have to have decent riffs. And I used a decent litmus test that if I sent a track to Bob and he was going, you know, I don't know, I really want to play on that, then I probably didn't do a good job. But he never said that, so I was happy.
There you go. That's good. So let's dig into you for a little while. When did you first know that you wanted to be a musician?
Ooh, wow. To be a musician, I still want to be a musician. I'm still trying to figure out if I can do it every day.
Right. What got you started though?
I would say the bands that you hear when you first are small. I mean, when I was a very small child, it was Queen and ELO, and you know the bands of the '70s and the stuff that I don't know if I really gravitated towards the stuff that my parents liked, but I liked that stuff because it was big and kind of fantastical, I guess, if that's the word.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but then the music was great as well. And then starting to play drums, starting to play a snare drum only. And funny enough, the very first song that I could play, or piece of a song that I could play, was "In the Flesh" by Pink Floyd.
Oh, okay.
I could do that. Da, 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 da. I'm like, whoa, I can do that. And then there was a Dire Straits song called "Tunnel of Love."
Good song.
And yeah, that amazing song. That record, damn. Those first three songs on that first side. So that was the thing that kind of set me in the direction of, oh wow, I can do this, I think. And then I luckily had a band teacher that I wrote a tribute to on my website who really just kind of changed my life. And she could see that I had an interest, and she put together a drum kit consisting of a big marching bass drum, which supply probably like big bass drums to this day, and a snare drum. And she busted out the only drum set book she could find, I guess, at the time, which was Carmine Appice's Realistic Rock, which I still teach out of to this day.
Nice.
And she showed me some beats and how to count them. She had already taught me how to read music, and I struggled with it and she was directing me, and then there was kind of like a miracle worker moment where it just clicked, and then all of a sudden I was like off to the races. And then I realized I could do it. And so, of course, all the stuff that I had listened to before, I went back to, and some of those bands were still around, but it was also an era where there were so many fantastic drummers, you know,
Sure.
Stuart Copeland and Vinny Appice and Bill Stevenson, uh, you know, and then the other side of the coin, like Stan Lynch from the Heartbreakers,
Sure.
of course, John Bonham, uh, the mountaintop of Neil Peart and Buddy Rich. Those are, you know, those are otherworldly things.
Right.
So
right.
you never think that you can get there, but then when you actually pull off a song and learn a song, then you really know. Then you're going, okay, these are my people, these are my athletes, this is my sports.
100%. Yeah, no,
so
absolutely.
so that's what got me going. And then being a drummer, you know, when you play by yourself, you make a lot of noise. When you're a guitar player, you play by yourself, you have melody and things like that. And as a drummer, you gravitate towards the things that have more parts in them because you like to fill up the space. And it's
Sure.
like calisthenics and, oh, look what I can do. And then when you play with a band and someone says, hey, don't play as much, you go, huh?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Makes
And then,
no sense. Yeah.
so you have to relearn. So about 10 years in, after I had played in some high school bands and things like that, I got re-educated in the ways of space, and then that kind of lent itself into more songwriting because you understand from a songwriter's point of view
Okay.
what you don't step on. And drummers have a interesting relationship, or at least they should, with singers, because sometimes you can watch a singer's foot and judge your tempo on that. And if you play a little too fast, the singer has trouble getting words out. Play a little too slow, the phrasing is a little strange. Drummers
Yeah.
want to be singers, singers want to be drummers. That's the way it is. Some are both.
It's a good way to explain that for sure. So I got, oh shit, there goes my phone. I forgot to turn my ringer off. That's not good.
Woo! That's
Yeah,
right.
the big mistake. I screw up all the time like that. Damn it. We just leave it in there. Fuck it, you know.
I don't want to hear it.
So I got rapid fire response for you. 5 quick questions for you. We'll see if you can get the answers out as quick as you can. Do you remember the name of your first band?
I don't actually.
Do you know how old you were when you started your first band?
Oh, band. There was, yeah, actually, no, high school. I think the guys that I was in a band with in high school were much older than me. I think I was about maybe 14 or 15, and they were almost 20. But I lived in a small town, and these were the only guys that could really play stuff.
Right.
The guitar player was insane. He was into stuff like Tony McAlpine and
Oh wow.
Queensryche and anything that was Fast and Furious, early Van Halen, Doc and George Lynch, that
Sure.
sort of stuff. So I had to learn how to play all that stuff.
Yep.
And there was we didn't have a singer for a while, so I sang and played drums. So imagine trying to play Bark at the Moon on the drums and sing it.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
And then luckily we found a singer, and I think that lasted, I don't know, maybe a couple of years. But it was great to be in high school and have a band that was
Yeah, it's awesome, right?
Because things happened for you.
Yeah, 100%. Do you remember the first gig you guys played?
That band, no. I mean, we played a lot of lunchtime things at school and house parties and living room. We had the bass player had a house, I believe, that his parents owned, and so we practiced in the living rooms. We would just throw parties there, and people would come over. I think his roommate worked for Anheuser-Busch, so there may have been some underage drinking.
Yeah, no, I mean,
some underage, some things that happened, you know.
Well, you know, so it happens. You know what I mean?
Lost in the mist of time.
Yeah, right. Can you ever remember one piece of musical equipment or a bunch of it that you sold that you regret selling?
Stuff that I sold, no, because I've never really been a gear guy where I would hoard gear and keep gear. I'm one of those drummers that has 3 snare drums and that's it. I don't have a lot of guitars. I don't know. I have probably 4 acoustics 3 electrics, that sort of thing. So any piece of gear that I've gotten rid of, I've always moved on to something better. So
Okay.
there's nothing really. I wish I still had my full set of rototoms. That
Well,
would be.
yeah.
I had a Terry Bozzio inspired kit that was 2 big 24-inch Yamaha bass drums and 6 rototoms. So
There you go.
I was way into the Spring Session M record, and that at the same time as Racer X, Second Heat at the same time as And Justice for All. Those were like my summer records.
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
I would go home and just wail on those albums. So,
do you remember your biggest on-stage oops?
luckily I haven't really had many, because I get to sit down, so I don't have to do. There's not much ooping besides from dropping a stick or something like that, but I'm pretty good at covering those things up. So I'm not perfect by any means. I mean, I think my biggest onstage oops would be one time when we were up in the mountains in Italy, at this place we were playing, and we were there all day long, and there was eating and wine drinking all day long, and I'm very, how should you say, I'm very attentive to making sure that nothing gets in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got on stage, I was just 2 beats behind everything, and I was getting the look, and that's a big on stage oops. I couldn't really forgive myself for that for a while. Actually, I remember Scott Hill saying to me, "Hey, I could usually count on you. What the hell's going on?" And I'm like, nothing.
Doesn't the look sucks though?
Yeah, but when it's necessary, it doesn't though.
Right. No, it's just, but when it's necessary, you know it's you, and you're like, oh damn, don't look at me. Stop looking at me.
Yeah,
you know?
I already know what's going on. Trust me. But
Right.
it makes you snap too, because usually
100%.
you can play out of body sort of, or at least I can in certain times where things are just flowing. And when you have something like that going on, you don't have it. Things aren't flowing, and you have to be very attentive. And so that never happened since. Actually, that's probably like my biggest one. But nobody noticed it other than me, and that's really, to me, that's the worst thing. You know, what's that saying?
No, sure.
Self-respect is the hardest respect to get. So I was not respecting myself that night.
Now I know you mentioned Fu Manchu. You joined Fu Manchu in 2002.
2001.
Or 2001. Okay. So are you guys still? Is Fu Manchu still together? You guys still doing stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're getting ready to record a new album starting beginning of November that'll be out next year.
That's when you're gonna. So it's written already. Everything's written.
Everything's written. We're just doing a little bit of last bit of pre-production right now, and then
Gotcha.
we'll go in beginning of November. Hopefully, May release. I think it's going to be a double album, and
Nice.
have some stuff on it that's not a little bit different from stuff that we've done before, as far as sounds wise goes. And yeah, that'll be my 6th studio album with them, I believe. And we did first one was a live record, Go For It Live, in 2023 or 2003. We're
2003,
reissuing it next month for the 20th anniversary on vinyl. And actually, we have another thing coming out as well, Record Store Day, I believe, in Europe, which is the compendium of the last 3 10-inches that we released, but we resequenced them in album order. So it's kind of like our own little diver down with the covers that were on those things. And
cool, man.
Neil Fallon from Clutch sings on a cover of Million Miles Away, and we put our cover of Working Man on there that we did to raise money for brain cancer research on Neil Peart's first birthday after he had passed. We put that out.
Oh, that's great. That's so awesome.
And of course, people were like, "You didn't play on it," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know that."
Right, yeah, right.
But that was the last song that he played live with them. Actually, you could argue that wasn't the last song, because the last song that they played live was a snippet of Garden Road.
Gotcha.
And hey, sorry, beasts are barking. Okay. Yeah, so you never want to get in an argument with people who really don't know what they're talking about. So, anyways,
100%. So you also did a short stint with Social Distortion. How did you hook up with them?
That was actually mutual people that I knew through them, and we at Fu Manchu had actually opened a couple of shows for them, and they were between, I think it was between Adam and Dave Hidalgo, who's in there now, and has been in there for 10 years. So I just covered a couple of shows that we did here, and then we did his tour of South America. And then I was getting ready to go back to being on the road with Fu Manchu, and they weren't really ready to kind of get going yet. And so we kind of kept the door open, and I'm still friends with those guys. I play with Johnny sometimes in his solo band, and have sat on the side of the stage and watched Brent and Dave play with Jeff Beck at the observatory in Santa Ana one night. That was insane. So still good buds with all those guys.
Very good, very cool. So let's talk about the new album. The new release is called Lights Out on the Shore. The band is, well, the U is Jacket Thief. I should say, I can't say band, it's you. That's out through Tripkey Records.
I am a sheep.
That's right. Now that came out late September, right?
September 29th, yeah.
Okay. So I know it's early yet. How's it tracking? How's it being received so far?
Very, very good. Actually, everybody's been very positive in their response to things, and I've gotten a lot of comments on how people have gone back for repeated listens, which is great because I know that a lot of people listen to music passively and when they're doing things, and it's just kind of background noise. So it's tough to get people to sit down and really listen all the way through. And I think most people that are doing reviews and just response that I've had, it's been really nice, and people have taken note of the lyrics and that kind of stuff, which is hard to do and hard to craft and hard to make them mean something and connect with people. So that's been pretty great too. I'm pretty happy with that.
I mean, people should listen to it from front to back because it's a damn good album.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it's your first solo prod. This is like your first solo project. How is it going from being a band to a solo project? Was it tough or?
No, I mean, I've always written stuff on my own anyway, so this was never going to be anything that was meant for Fu Manchu. So it's definitely, it's been easy. I know somebody asked me, I said, how does it feel to go out in front of the drums and be a front man? And I'm like, well, I haven't had to do it except in a studio, so I don't know. So, but yeah, it's been good. I'm really happy with especially like the vocals and stuff, how those came out. And so, I when I work on stuff too, I mean, I work on a lot of stuff in the car driving, which I think a lot of people do. And, lyrics kind of come then, or like I walk around with a guitar and try and sing and hear what things sound like without, reverbs and things like that, that you would normally use in the studio. So that way, when we get in the studio, the stuff is there, and that's just to enhance it. So it's been pretty satisfying.
Now, let me ask you this: How did you come up with the name Jacket Thief?
Let's see. So a very good friend of ours, his name was Otis Bartholomew. He went by O. I've known him since about '92 when I was in Smile. He was actually responsible for getting my band Smile signed to Headhunter in San Diego. Sadly, he passed last year, or actually this year, and Fu Manchu's playing a memorial for him on this Sunday, actually, October 22nd. And John and Exene from X are playing, TSOL is playing, the Aquabats are playing, his Hawaiian band called the Cheap Lays, they're playing, so Fu Manchu's doing a set. But anyways, I did a tour with his band Fluff in the 90s, and there was kind of a comedy of errors where he had a jacket that was left in the dressing room that I thought was left by a homeless guy, and I picked it up at the end of the show. And a couple of days later, I gave it to my cousin, and O saw him wearing it and asked him where he got the jacket, and he said it was me, and he's like, that guy's a goddamn jacket thief. So that was my nickname for years. That's what he would call me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he would tell everybody the story, and they would go like, nah. I mean, it was really like a Three's Company, like comedy of errors type thing. But it was great. His band, Harsh Mellow, which Dale Crover from the Melvins was playing, and they played with us in December at the Troubadour with Fu Manchu, and actually got on stage with us and played Godzilla, which was the first time that ever really happened. So I'm really happy that occurred. But yeah, big, huge loss for so many people.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, Tony Hawk is really involved in putting the benefit on, and the memorial, and Jeff Ammett's going to be there, and Ian Mackay is going to be sending a message. I mean,
wow.
O touched a lot of people.
Sounds like, yeah.
He was a big, literally a big guy, you know.
Did
Oh,
you
what are
see?
you doing? You'd always ask him, like, what are you doing? Oh, he's like, I'm just a fat guy looking for a slice of cheese. he had all these sayings, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, did you say he was in a Hawaiian band called the Cheap Lays?
He's in the Hawaiian band called the Cheap Lays. He was in a band called
Harshmell.
He was in a band called Olive Lawn back in the late 80s, early 90s that actually featured Eddie Glass, one of the original guitar players of Fu Manchu. He played
wow. All right.
And Olive Lawn did some shows, like a reunion show or two, and I played with him back in the, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 years ago. So he's at every show you go with in San Diego. He's you know, he was always at Satellite Amps in San Diego. He was always everywhere. He was just everywhere. He was the ubiquitous O, you know.
That's awesome. Well, rest in peace, O.
The omnipresent O.
Gotcha. So how long did it take for you to write this?
I had some songs. That song TLFN that's a song that exists from like the year 2000, really. That myself and Michael Rosas, who I was in Smile with, we wrote that song. He wrote the music and I wrote most of the lyrics. And so we never recorded it. He recorded a version with another band, but I always wanted to do a straight ahead kind of 4-on-the-floor rock version. So that's the oldest one, but the others have been in and around kind of the last 4 or 5 years. Daylight Apparitions was probably the last thing written. And then the first track, Flying Too Low, that was actually an instrumental. And I had no lyrics for it, and I was struggling with the running order of the record, but I had the title, so I just wrote the lyrics around the title, and it worked. And so that became the first song on the record. So that's about how long it took to write it, and just over and off, you know, 4 or 5 years. I'm already working on new songs right now. Got a batch or two that are sort of cooking right now. So
will that's another Jacket Thief thing, or?
Yeah, that'll be something else. Yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned TLFN. That was the first single off of that album, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the newest single out now is Flying Too Low, like Flying you said. Too
Low. Yeah, the first one.
And you said it started out as an instrumental, and you.
It was an instrumental that we had recorded for the album, and I didn't have lyrics. I didn't have lyrics for it. And what it's about is I used to have this dream as a kid, before I had ever flown in an airplane or I think even been on a boat. And the dream was that I was flying really low over the water, and I would just fly and fly and fly, and you couldn't see anything but the water in front of you. And then at the end of the dream, it was reoccurring. It was really strange. And at the end of the dream, I would just come upon this, it was like a house, kind of like an abbey on the shore of some island with, you know, torches around it, kind of a weird thing. And so I just tried to remember what that felt like, what that dream felt like, and it seemed to match the musical landscape. And then there's a couple of lyrical references in there that are a little bit more current, but yeah, that was pretty much the last lyric thing that was written for the record. So, and then that, it's strange, you know, the process isn't done till it's done. So then that song all of a sudden became the track to lead it off with.
Gotcha.
2 minutes 50.
Yeah, right. Do you have? I know this is a tough question, and musicians probably hate this one too. It's like asking you to name your favorite kid, but do you have a favorite off the album?
I do like the first song a lot. Furs and Fires is probably my favorite. I love the way that one turned out. It's especially because it's not a lot of complicated chords and things. So to make it sort of unique with the harmonies, and the third harmony part was again a Ryan Mall thing where he got me to do that. And I really like the bridge on that song. I like Everything But Right. I like how Some Kind of Murder turned out. That was you know, the time shifts in the middle of it. And I mean, yeah, those are probably the ones that I think I turned out the most, that I'm most satisfied with. I really am satisfied. I've been listening a lot in the past 2 weeks to the last track, and you know, the layering of stuff that we did at the end as it repeats, and that was just kind of based on the old Starship Trooper model, where like you have something that goes around and around, but it gets added to each time it goes around.
Right.
the vocal is kind of receding in the mix as if, to match the lyrics about drifting away. And so I'm super happy with that.
Now, do you have any plans of touring around this album, or?
No, like I said, I'd like to get some more material together before I would consider really playing live, and touring is not something I'm really planning on. Although, if somebody wanted me to do an opening slot or something like that, I could probably pull it off and get a band together of people. But I might do that in the short term. Just on this record, I mean, again, it's only really, without the one instrumental, it's only about 40 minutes of material, but there's definitely parts that you could stretch out. So, I mean, I think playing 40 minutes would be that's good.
No, where did you record the album? I missed that question. I forgot to ask you.
That was in Ryan Mall's studio called Lillian Sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did all the recording there. And then the mastering was done by a guy named Andrew Alekel up at his place, Bolkenstein House, which is named after Jimmy Page's place that he used to own in Scotland that was haunted.
Nice.
But Andrew's a great engineer. Actually, he engineered We Must Obey, the Fu Manchu record. He used to be sort of like the house guy at Grandmaster. I actually put a thing up today about a Martin guitar that was used for Everything But Right, that's owned by my friend Mitch Townsend, who played on that song. And Mr. Grohl used that same guitar on the acoustic version of Times Like These that they recorded at Grandmaster. And
wow!
And Andrew engineered that session, so the video is that guitar as well. So that's an awesome guitar. It's like a 1970 D35, and it just has that sound.
It's got it. It had it. Yeah.
Yeah. The songs just kind of come out of it,
Yeah, right. So, do you have anything else to tell the folks before we wrap this up? I don't want to take too much of your time. So,
not much other than get the music, share the music, spread the music. You can buy the vinyl at the link in Bandcamp for the U.S. only. I had about 50 copies that were signed and numbered that went. But I've just recently acquired some more copies, so those are available as well. And I can sign them if you want and send them out. For the rest of the world, it's Cargo Music UK, and obviously streaming on every platform in the universe. And enjoy the music. Trying to work on some stuff, maybe some different versions of some of the songs that might be re-released here pretty soon. But we're just kind of keeping that a bit low until something might happen. So we'll see.
Very cool. Guys, you can check out the latest from Scott Reeder, a.k.a. Jacket Thief. It's called Lights Out on the Shore. It's out now via Tripkey Records. Check your streaming platforms for availability. And for more info, you can visit Instagram. It's Jacket Thief _Scott Reeder. You can search Jacket Thief on YouTube. Check out the videos on there. ScottReederDrums.com. Check it out over there. And also JacketThief.bandcamp.com. Remember, Bandcamp Fridays is the first Friday of every month. And
today.
That's
not today. That's not today.
No, it was last week, I think.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's right. Just remember Bandcamp Fridays, guys, because listen, either way, just go there and get the album. You're not going to regret it. It is good stuff. And Scott, man, listen, I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us. And please stop back again. I enjoyed talking to you. We'll do it again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hope to have some new music to do that. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Reeder, thank you.
All right. Thanks, dude.